I wouldn't be afraid to pick Mitch Moses as a running six. I think that's underutilised in his game.
When they do their plays, no team or no players in the key positions do them quicker.
And Wayne walks over to me and he goes, how do you reckon you went on the weekend? And I went,
Killed it.
oh. I said, oh, mate, I went okay, probably could have done a few things better. And he looked at me and he said, if that's the best you got, we're in a lot of trouble. And turned his back on me and walked away. And I went, this bloke hates me.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Freddy and the Eighth, proudly brought to you by Sportsbet. You can see Joey's head just creep into the shot there. Good to see you both. Just creep on in. How are we?
Feeling creepy?
I was thinking the same thing.
It's a good word, isn't it?
Creepy.
How is he? Oh, he's a creep.
What's one of your most hated words?
Moist.
Goodbye. I hate goodbyes.
Goodbyes.
Goodbyes are absolutely rank. I just rather, like, if I'm having a beer with my mates, I just get up and leave. Just go.
What's
There's
it
no
called?
goodbyes.
What's that called?
Smoke bomb.
Smoke bomb, yeah.
Mate, Marie grabs me by the hair if someone's leaving to go out and see them to their car and
Oh,
the whole lot.
None
I'm
of
standing there
that.
like that.
None of that.
Thanks
Even on
for
the
coming.
phone.
Thanks
Even
for
phone, I
coming.
don't say goodbye, I just hang up.
You're like, yeah, right, yep.
Oh,
bye.
sorry, it cut out last week. Goodbyes are awful.
Well, I'm glad we've hit some of the big topics in the world. All right, huge show coming up. We're going to be joined by Laurie Daley very shortly, the Blues coach, as we approach State of Origin. Very exciting time. We're going to be talking a lot about the Tigers. Obviously, they had a pretty horror loss to the Melbourne Storm. We're going to be going through all the tries and previewing all the games as well. And don't forget as well, keep sending those emails in. We've been loving them, f8@9.com.au. Have you seen any of the recent emails?
No.
Been very entertaining.
You
Trolls.
got one for us?
I'll get one for you.
I saw one on Mitch Kenny's Instagram. Ooh, they were
DM.
nasty.
What happened?
I was after because you know how he didn't pass it to Nathan when they went for the field goal? And this person just hammered him like cruel.
DMs, you don't...
Maybe the last leg of his multi or something.
Oh, you
That'd
could
be
feel
it.
that. You could feel
Yeah.
alcohol and gambling involved.
Well, there were some thrilling finishes over the weekend of footy. I think
Unbelievable.
nothing goes past. Well, I mean, the Canberra Bulldogs game, that was just incredible. But also this, from Friday night, Latrell Mitchell, this field goal.
No one
boot.
in the world would try that. Not one player. It was like a couple of weeks ago he threw that double cutout against the Chooks. No one would throw that. He's the opposite of most players. The big moments and the pressure on, some don't want it. He just give me the ball.
Well, we went through...
It's freakish.
We went through the library and found some classics. Have a look at some of these ones. Some great field goals that we've seen from over the years.
Look at that,
Do you remember
off
this
one
one?
step too.
Yeah, that was
Bench.
good.
Oh,
And just
There's a bloke named
clipped.
Andrew Willis. I'm not sure if we've got that. He kicked a cracking...
here it is.
Here it is, Andrew Willis.
From the wrong side of the ruck too. Same ground, isn't it? It's Campbelltown.
Yeah, looks that way.
That was a great kick. That was
This
a
is-
test match. That was me.
Brad Fittler.
Jeez, I
You,
smoked that.
you didn't really kick many, did you? Jeez,
Those
you
big
nailed it.
legs.
Big fuzzy legs.
There was one in England, Joe Lydon, playing for Wigan. He kicked one from about 50, 58, maybe even 60.
We had it on radio last night. One of the best field goals was Terry Lamb kicked a goal against I think it was Newcastle, and he thought it was 10-all, but it was actually 12-10 to Newcastle, so it became 12-11. And they still lost. Apparently he kicked the goal and he was cheering, and he's, forget it was, I think,
That was at Belmore. That was in 93 maybe.
front rower. Who'd you room with?
Sarge.
No, I'm thinking the front rower. You
Darren
roomed with
Brett.
Darren Brett, I think. Went up to him and said, mate, good kick, but
Not enough.
12-11.
A little bit short. All right, let's dive into some of the top topics. We're going to be talking Tigers because this one was a very disappointing performance if you're a Tigers fan. To go down 64-0.
Wow.
What does that do to a side's confidence, and how do you then sort of turn it around? Like this week, do you even review the game, or you just go Control-Alt-Delete, try and leave it in the past?
I feel like they've come through the whole Lockie Galvin saga very well.
Yeah.
I think the coach did a really good job, although the players all did a good job, and then I just didn't see this in their team.
Is it a reflection more of the Melbourne Storm or is it a reflection more of the West Tigers?
I think it's a bit of both. Who they beat Penrith, Parramatta early in the season. Remember that? Oh, there it is.
It was
put 56. They put 56 on Parramatta. Once the Storm get on a roll, in particular during the day games, you can't stop them.
Yeah, fast.
Yeah, that was that opening game of the season at Amy Park.
It was 36-0 at half-time.
It was huge, yeah. And that was Jason Riles' first.
When they do their plays, no team or no players in the key positions do them quicker. They are just lightning, and because they're so well drilled, no one misses their assignment. There's no balls hitting the ground or a back rower overrunning or not being in the spot. They are just clinical.
You do have to question the first try. The one where Paps kicked it through,
walked.
he ran through 5 of them. That was a bit poor. That was very poor, actually.
So what do you do then if you're Benji Marshall this week and you're the players? How do you approach this week?
Because I can imagine it'd be... It's not up to the coach. He's not out there missing tackles. He can prepare them as good as he can, but it's up to the players. Players got to take responsibility, and next week, it's on this week. Who do they play?
South.
They got South. That's the late game.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
They got to aim up. They're at home at Campbelltown. Go out and make a statement as individuals and as a team.
Geez, that's going to be a good game. Like that's an old little rivalry, South and Balmain.
Well, also too, it's Wayne up against Benji. Obviously, Benji was under Wayne when he played. Was it 1 or 2 years at South?
The people who are knocking Benji, I watch the way they play and I watch the way they defend. They know what they're doing. They're well drilled, without a doubt. And especially in attack, when their attack starts to hum, they know what they're doing. So people potting Benji, it's wrong. It's wrong. And look at that club. They've had some of the best coach. Ivan Cleary couldn't get them going. We know what Ivan's done. Madge couldn't get them going. Jason Taylor couldn't get him going. Mick Potter was there. Tim Sheens even. Sheens came.
What do you see as the issue there?
Well, I don't really know.
Does it come from
to be
above
fair,
there?
Yeah, of course.
And
the joint's been fighting forever. Since the day they joined, they've been fighting.
Different chairmans, different boards. They've been.
Well, they're just going through another court battle, I believe, to do with board members and, they've never really. It's never really hummed. I can't ever remember. Obviously, around the 2005 and Juno period, actually, it was over about 5 or 6 years where they really competed. So apart from that, there's been so much infighting.
As a player, though, like I know that there are some teams that I think Wayne Bennett did this one time where South had a bad loss. Anyway, so they came in the next week and he said, we're not even going to look at that game because why would you want to put yourself through that misery again? Do you see the Tigers bouncing back with a big response this week?
I think they win.
You do?
Yeah, I think they win.
At Campbelltown too. Good place to do it. It'll be hostile.
There you go.
So they'll be ready to go.
Well, all eyes will be on the Tigers and the Rabbitohs Sunday night. Stick around here on Freddy the Eighth coming up. Looking forward to this one. Laurie Daley joins us. We're going to be talking all things his career and also State of Origin. Oh, it is obviously Origin time, Origin season at the moment, and I'm very pleased to say that Laurie Daley joins us here on the Freddy and the Eighth couch. Great to see you, Loz.
Danica, how are you?
I'm good. How are you going?
Not too bad. Yeah, really excited. Obviously, State of Origin's just around the corner, and really looking forward to being a part of it again. Obviously, New South Wales had a win last year, and it was great to see, and hopefully we can get the same result this time around.
So what's this week look like for you? Obviously, it's either Sunday or Monday morning, Sunday night or Monday morning that you name the squad?
Yeah, still unsure a little bit at the moment, but there's a late game on Sunday night. So obviously you want to be able to ring players and let them know that they're in the team. You've got to check for injuries through that late game. So we're just sort of working through when we'll announce the team at this stage.
I want to talk about your career at Raiders. You came through at an incredible time. What was it like that early 90s time at the Raiders?
Oh, it was magnificent. We had such a great team. Great leaders in Mal and Tim Sheens. And there was a core group of senior players, Dean Lance, Gary Coyne, Gary Belchers, those type of guys. But then you had myself, Ricky, Glenn Lazarus, Bradley Clyde coming through, Stevie Walters. And we're all great mates. You know, Canberra's not a big place. You spend a lot of time together. You become great mates. And I think that showed on the footy field.
A lot of people wouldn't remember, but Wayne Bennett actually spent time in Canberra. He was part of their 87 team. Now, did you ever cross paths through that era?
Yeah, I did. So my first year was at the Raiders in 87.
Yeah, right.
And I remember I turned up...
How old were you then?
I was 17.
17.
17. I remember I was playing Jersey Flegg, and because you were a contracted player, you had to turn up every Tuesday night. And it was the 3 grades. So it was whoever was contracted, 23s, reserve grade and first grade. And I remember I think I'd scored 3 or 4 tries on the Saturday in the Jersey Flegg game. So I'd turn up for training on the Tuesday night, and Wayne walks over to me and he goes, how do you reckon you went on the weekend? And I went,
Killed it.
oh. So I said, oh, mate, I went okay. Probably could have done a few things better. And he looked at me and he said, if that's the best you got, we're in a lot of trouble. And turned his back on me and walked away. And I went, this bloke hates me. I've got no future at this club. But it was amazing time because he really set high standards and discipline. And then from that, he left to go to the Broncos, and then Tim Sheens took over. And they were totally different coaches as well.
What a year that was for you, though, in 87, your first year. So from Jersey Flegg to then at the end of the year as well, the grand final.
Yeah, sitting on the bench for the grand final.
You were on the bench,
Yeah. I can remember getting on in the semi-final against the Roosters, and the Roosters were my team.
In 87?
In 87, yeah.
And you were...
17, yeah.
17.
So I got up and I remember walking off the SCG and just thinking, this is unbelievable. Like, what am I doing here? And then obviously didn't get a chance to get on in the grand final, but just to be a part of the build-up and be a part of that team was very special.
The best team I ever played against was the 94 Canberra team. Yeah. And they are here and the rest of the team. Do you think that was the best team you played in at Clubland?
Yeah, I do. It had so much talent and so much strike. Brett Mullins, I reckon, scored 11 or 12 tries in a 3-game period there one year. And you always knew with Mullos, if he caught the ball on the full, the first kick of the day, he was on and he was ready to go. And you know how you think about getting back for tackle 2 or 3?
Yeah.
When he was firing and in that type of form, you were just thinking about supporting him, not getting back and helping out. It was just getting and supporting, getting in position to support him. But he was a wonderful player. Kenny and Noah on the wings, and Mal and Reuban in the centres, and then you had your forward pack. You know,
Bradley Clyde.
Oh, Clyde, he was unbelievable player.
So you went through the whole of Mal's career, really. Like, you know, he played up until, what would he have been? How old?
34.
34.
Yeah.
Like, what was he like at the end of his career?
Oh, he was a great leader. The thing I learnt most about Mal is that if something needed to be done, he would do it. So, you know, if we were, you know, struggling in a game or something, like, he'd just take it up off the tap. Or if we were looking to get ourselves in a game and we'd score, they'd kick off, and instead of the front rower carrying the ball, he would do it.
Yeah, I saw him do that a couple of times.
Yeah, so it was all about, you know, sense of timing and knowing when to try and inspire the troops, and he could do that obviously with vision. Harry Highpants.
Well, look at this stuff. These are the Kangaroo tours. Yeah. Best times of your footy career.
Oh, they're wonderful, aren't they? You know, you're a young bloke on tour with 30 great mates, and not only are you playing football, at times it felt like a Kentucky tour.
Well, there's nothing to do in England but drink piss, which we're all very good at.
Well, that's the thing, Joey. You know, we've all been on tours and we're all lucky enough to get across there and play. But it was amazing too, because some of the players, well, everyone wanted to play in the test team, and the test team would usually play on the weekend. But that was the best nights to go out. So you couldn't go out if you're in that. So the Emus, they tore it up.
Well, in the first tour, you broke your hand.
Yeah, on my 21st birthday.
In a stink?
Yeah.
On the field or off?
No, it was on the field.
Wigan. It was against Wigan.
Yeah.
Who'd you fan?
There was a guy by the name of Phil Ford, and there was a couple of the guys punching on with Mark McGaw. So I went in to help Big Sparkles. And I went bang, and I went, oh. A broken hand straight up. So I think that was the first and only fight I had on a footy field. I couldn't fight.
But you missed some tests, didn't you?
Yeah, I did miss the first
Cliff
test.
came in.
I missed the first test in Wembley in 90 with a broken hand, and then I missed the first test in the 94 tour with a hamstring injury. So I missed out twice at playing at that famous venue.
Yeah.
We've also gone through the archives this week just in preparation, and we found something, a bit of a drama between you and Brad Fittler. Take a look at this.
Wouldn't have been a fight.
The debate over who should lead their country only settled when coach Bob Fulton backed Laurie Daley ahead of Brad Fittler.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be here, and I'm being named captain of the side, and I'll just go out there and do my best.
Before leaving for New Zealand, Fulton had even less to say. Fittler claimed it wasn't a problem.
It's not a problem with the players or the coaching staff. I think it's a problem in with the media side of it, and I've got no comment on the situation.
Handling of the captaincy issue would have impressed the toughest skills coach. Laurie Daley appeared the early favourite, but Brad Fittler got the job. He's also the 5'8", both players' preferred position.
I play my best football at 5'8", and that's where I like to be considered as a player. But again, in representative football, you don't argue where you pick.
I've got number 6, and I'm happy with that.
That's some great vision.
Yeah, good.
So it was 1 year.
vision.
So yeah, talk us through. So 1 year it was.
So I think that first one must have been 98, because it wouldn't have been 97.
So I remember the game
Super League.
we
So
went over, I think it was Darren Lockyer's first game.
I think it was 98.
Yeah.
I think it was the Super League happened, so we're all in different competitions, and then it came back together in 98. So I think the Bozo one was 98, and the Chris Anderson one might have been the following year, 99.
Right.
I think. If
That happened a lot. We changed positions.
Yeah.
5'8" and
5'8"
7.
You played lock a few times in Origin,
Yeah.
too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even in those days, though, it was very different. So, like, whether you're playing 5'8", sometimes you'd stick to one side or you'd be sweeping. And so the game was very different.
The
So
lock and 5'8" played the same style. Either side,
well, they did. And I think that was sort of, not an advantage, but it was something that we did quite well. We adapted to different positions. You played it in a different position, So I think I've always gone with the theory, if you're a good player, you should be able to adapt.
Yeah.
You should be able to adapt.
What about a time you had some salary cap drama,
Yeah.
and Tim Sheens, not a great coach, recruiter, went and watched the Pacific Championship in 93, wasn't it?
92,
Came back
92.
92, couple of handy players. Who were they?
So it was remarkable because we really struggled in 92. So we had, we made the grand final 87, prelim final 88, won the comp 89, 90, and then we made the grand final in 91. And then we had some salary cap issues, so a lot of our depth was eroded and players had to leave. So we struggled in 92. And again, then we still didn't have the money or the capacity to go out and target players from other clubs. So we had to sort of nurture from within. But Tim Sheens was one of the first coaches to decide to go over to the Pacific Nations tournament. And, Fiji and Samoa and Tonga and New Zealand, Maori and those teams were playing. And he came back with 4 players, Noah Nandruku, Quinton Pongia, Johnny Lomax and Reuban Wiki. and he came in and we go, mate, what are these blokes going to do for us? We'd never heard of them, we need more players if we're going to have a successful year. And they went from just being local footy players overseas to coming into our system and having an instant impact. And we were travelling really well that year, and then Ricky broke his ankle a couple of weeks before the finals, and then we lost our first 2 finals and bounced out. But I think we finished 3rd, capable of probably challenging the Broncos at that point. But yeah, it was. And then we went on and won the comp in 94. So Sheensy had a great eye for talent.
Yeah, incredible. It's been great looking down memory lane, but stick around because we're going to be talking all things State of Origin coming up straight after the break.
And Harrigan is brought down. From Elias again on the 3rd tackle. Stewart across for Daley. Laurie Daley. Oh, that is magnificent. Daley, adjacent to the uprights, gets the 2nd try.
Step there. So impressive. All right, let's talk State of Origin because it is upon us. As I mentioned before, what we name the New South Wales Blues in a couple of days' time. You've obviously been in this role before. Coming back into it, what have you learnt from your previous time as Blues coach?
Well, obviously you learn all the time, and there's things you do differently. But we also did a lot of good things as well. So I think you don't overlook that. But I think it comes down to obviously, hopefully, getting the selections right, making sure you get the best team in the best possible shape, and providing the right sort of environment for them to play their best football. Because at the end of the day, it'll be the players that decide the result, not the coaches. But we've just got to make sure that we give them every opportunity to succeed.
Do you go back to 2014 at all? I was part of that, and I was running the water. And it was the most inspirational game I've been part of. Like, it was a really good team, the Queensland team. And just the way they played, like the ability New South Wales had, which mostly wasn't that high. What do you take out of that series, and have you brought anything coming forward?
And I think you'll agree with this, mate. They were selfless, that series. Queensland certainly had more talent than that particular team, but what they wanted to do was play for each other, and they connected really strongly. So for me, that will be one of the first things we work on when we get into camp.
Big positions we're talking about this year, fullback and 5'8". Have you chosen who you're picking?
Look, I think this weekend's important. I think we want to see everyone get through, obviously, injury-free. The talent that we have at our disposal is enormous at the moment in those areas, in particular fullback. There's a number of players you could select, but Freddy will know this, and I know people say, "Oh, you must know," but you don't know because you don't know what's going to happen this weekend.
It's really interesting because obviously, you do a lot in the media as well, but we often just talk about, I think the last few weeks on Freddy and the Eighth we've spoken about, who's going to play fullback, who's going to play in the halves, and how much does your mind, is it a couple of weeks out that you start sort of going, okay, well, in my mind, this might be number one, this might be number two, but I have to wait and see. Is that how it sort of plays out?
Yeah, that's how
for
it plays out. Yeah, you sort of have an idea of what your team will look like, but you never get too confident that that's what you're going to end up with because you're just unsure. But, you've got your depth chart with contingencies if things start to unravel not the way you want it to. And I also lean on the other coaches as well. I've leaned on Craig Bellamy and Matty King and Dean Young and these guys who are in the system, Brett White. They're in the system, they're at clubs. They're constantly giving feedback to the players, and I'm constantly asking them for their opinion, just to see whether it combines with what I'm thinking. And then at the end of the day, I'll make the decision, but I like to trust my assistants that they've got a really good idea of what's going on.
Well, this game here in Melbourne last year it showed the strength of our edges. Latrell and Angus are unstoppable. I want to talk about Tommy Turbo. I've been quite vocal saying I think he should be fullback if he was fully fit. I watched him closely on the weekend. He still looks hampered by the knee injury. He looked quite proppy. Have you spoke to Turbo or anyone at Manly?
I spoke to Turbo a couple of weeks ago when he was injured, just to see how he was and to let him know, he'd still be in the picture if he got back playing. But you want to make sure that players are fit, don't you?
Because I haven't seen him open up with his speed.
No.
He looks like he's in third gear, which is still world class.
He did a couple of weeks ago against Penrith. It was funny because the first game he came back, he looked limp, lame, and then last week on the weekend.
Do you think on the weekend I thought he looked real proper? I don't know whether the strapping is hampering him.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've had that same injury, and I think sometimes it's more mental. You're worrying about it, and you tend to protect it. But I'm unsure. But I think a fully fit Tom Trbojevic is a player that would make any rep side. But you want players that are going to be fit.
And he'd be honest with you too, wouldn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I read somewhere that you were talking about the wingers. There was talk about there's Brian, who played his first game, Toto, and Zach Lomax, who possibly playing his first game this weekend. Is that enough time? Two wingers?
It's interesting, Freddie, because the wingers these days, they do so much work. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable knowing that they get through the work that you want them to do. Ideally, you'd want to see a couple of games, but we don't have that luxury. So I've just got to sort of weigh up who's available and weigh up how they've performed. Brian obviously doesn't get another opportunity. He played last weekend, and hopefully Zach gets a chance this weekend, and then we'll discuss that. But it's certainly something we've spoken about as a group.
When you were talking before about 2014, and you mentioned it was a really good group of players who were selfless.
Yep.
How much does that weigh on your decision when you are picking the team? You obviously can have superstars across the park, but how much do you also have to take into account whether the players will gel together and whether the players are players who, you know, will be selfless like that?
Yeah, I think that's the key to any footy team, is to make sure they're selfless, but you've got a style you want to play. So you've got to pick the right people to fit the way you want to express yourself on the footy field. So you take everything into consideration. You know, you take in the fact that what are they like around the group, how they're going at clubland, and if they're not playing well at clubland, what have they done in the jersey in the past? So you throw all that into the pot, and then you sort of got to make the decisions based on all the information you have at hand. And sometimes you just go with your gut in what you think is right.
What about captain? Have you picked the captain yet?
No, I haven't picked a captain yet because, again, you just don't know who's going to be in the team. So we'll make that decision once we know who the 17 will be.
Do you think it's too early for Nathan to be captain? I know it's a hard question.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't think it'd be too hard.
How old's Nathan?
27?
26,
Yeah.
27.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you know, he's done everything in the game.
It sort of feels like the next step of his journey, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I think he's a wonderful player, and I think, you know, Penrith at the moment, you know, obviously they're not playing as well as what they have done the last 4 years, but, you know, he's just a wonderful player. He's in control. He knows what he wants to do. He knows how to run a footy team. I don't think it would affect his performance at all. You know, I think what we're doing, and I've spoken to the coaches about this, that, you know, we'll wait until we select the team, and then once we do it, we'll have a debate about who we think will be the best captain.
I heard Mitch Moses last night on 100% Footy, and he was talking about how he'd be so happy to play that number 6 role alongside Cleary if that was the case. Are you you're not opposed to having, you know, two natural halfbacks who play halfback at clubland, then sort of splitting the role? Yeah,
no, I'm not. I think that both those players could work well together. Obviously, you know that Jerome and Nathan can, and we saw what Jerome and Mitch done last year, or did last year. So we're lucky that we're in a good situation with some good options. I wouldn't be afraid to pick Mitch Moses as a running 6. I think that's underutilised in his game. You know, I think he's got the ability to run a football team, but he's also got the ability to inspire a footy team with his running game. I think he was very important to New South Wales last year. So, yeah, no, I think they would combine well if that was the way we went.
There you go. Well, thanks so much for joining us here on Freddy.
No worries at all.
It's been fun.
No, it has been fun. I could do another hour.
There you go. Stick around if you want.
Dodging a few more positional questions.
Go on, what do you want to know?
You're just turning into a master, don't you?
Where is the bonding night? That's what I want to know.
Katoomba.
Katoomba's the bonding
Still
night.
bond? Have the...
Well, I did.
Yeah.
You guys
sure.
should
Guns
have
on
a
it.
salsa.
Mount Drew at Freddie's back.
Yeah, we saw him magic round.
He's hidden again.
Well, thanks so much. Good luck, and
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll talk to you many more times
sure
over
we
the next
will,
few
Danica.
weeks
Thank
as
you.
well. All right, we'll stick around. Plenty more still coming up on Freddy and the Eighth.
Here is Pappenhausen, who grubbers in behind. Nobody there. Toes it forward. Pappenhausen! He reached out off his own kick.
I mean, what a day it was for Ryan Pappenhausen. He had a day out to remember up against the Tigers. He was just try after try after try. You literally couldn't stop him.
Unbelievable. He's so fast.
So fast.
Sonic Hedgehog.
We'll get Laurie Daley on later, and we'll talk about Brett Mullins at some stage because he was a freak. He did a double kick at Newcastle. just uncatchable.
Well, that brings us to Freddy's Flyers,
Here we go.
your tries of the week.
Well, let's start with Paps, eh?
Yes.
Yep. That was pretty good.
That was great.
He made them look awful, actually. I've got to say, like,
He
to
wanted it
embarrass
more.
a team like that.
Look at him walking. He wanted it more. There's no way he should score that try.
I'm going to replace it with his other one. Your inch perfect Pappy's gone, and your solo special's in.
All right. What about Crichton, Stephen Crichton? That was...
Well, you know what?
Inch perfect.
Considering the time of the game, the circumstances of the game, and then you look at what he actually did to hold the ball like that, fend off Sebastian Chris like he did. He's got a winger there as well who's attending to him. That was incredible. This is pretty good.
The holding of the ball.
That's Sonny Bill
is...
Yeah.
Can when you pick up the ball...
With those
I was
things,
going to say, it's a skill.
I could
Freddie?
only hold it like that with a claw.
Didn't you play a game in State of Origin camp where it was...
We used to do it every morning.
Yeah.
grip game.
The
Grip game, yeah. And it's funny, like you think Safidi, like Safidi's were good, but Fox was good. James Tedesco, like a couple of players.
Should we answer it?
Oh, it's Demi.
Demi
Sorry,
Moore.
Dem. Cancelled. Yeah, so it was unusual. It was surprising who was good at it.
Yeah,
The
okay.
Fox was good.
Yeah,
He
right.
was good at everything, the Fox. Who we got the last one?
And then last one, Manly.
Oh, this is a Jason
Cracking
Saab.
Yeah.
And
Cola.
Cole ends up scoring it. Coca-Cola. Look at this.
That's what you said in commentary, I'm pretty sure.
What a that?
Jeez, he's a skillful player. What about the balls he picked up off his feet?
Off his feet.
He dropped a couple of easy ones, but then picked them up. Look at this. I thought he was going to unload here.
All right, where does that one rank for you?
No.
No, it doesn't even make the board.
No, it doesn't, because I just thought they were flat. I
Yeah.
was very disappointed in what they put out. So,
All right, well, that's
Sorry,
how it stands at the
Tolu
moment.
Kola, you missed out.
We're about to dive into the Freddy the Eighth medal, and we've actually got a really interesting competition that is launching next week. So we're going to go out for lunch with whoever the winner is of the Freddy the Eighth medal, but we're also going to take some special viewers.
Are we?
Yeah, so there's a competition that we're going to launch. I'll give you a little sneak peek, because whoever sends in the best photo of them watching Freddy the Eighth. So you get creative with it and send it into our email address. What would you do?
Are you talking to Andrew?
Me?
Talk to Andrew.
No, I'm talking to both of you.
Talk to Andrew.
Well, you could do it in front of the TV doing yoga.
Down dog?
Down dog.
Hey,
You?
be careful.
Yeah. Oh, I got in trouble for that too. Sorry, Kate. Not allowed to call her that. With
Well-
limited clothes on. Just seeing if gravity.
I think maybe I need to
You've seen
specify
those
that.
things on social media where the dog's asleep and the cats come up and sort of whack the plums?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's so good.
What would you send in a creative one, Freddie?
Creative type? Well, mine would be outdoors, but it's hard to get an outdoor TV, so
You can do it on your phone.
It'd be watching it on the phone.
9 now.
Yeah,
There you go. Well, send them into our email address. Just
get natural. Give us something natural.
Yeah, but we're also into no nudity. I'm gonna.
Oh, come on.
Well, we can put blurry stuff on. can't
Okay,
we?
all right. Well, here are your medal winners, or not medal winners, but your points for the weekend. Ryan Pappenhausen, you couldn't go past him.
Isn't he a good player? He
3
just
tries.
knows where the... Just anticipation. Knows where to put himself to get the ball. 3 tries in 17 minutes, wasn't it?
You know, it would be a shame if he never played Origin.
That's what I was going to say. So, Origin at the moment?
No,
Chances?
not at the moment because of the talent in front of him.
Origin won't look like this. It very rarely does.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of bringing the ball out. And so I had him in 2020, but he came in with a bad ankle. Remember he scored that try off the grand final? He got the Clive Churchill when they beat
Oh,
Penrith
yeah,
in,
that's right,
in
yeah.
2020. And I was going to play him, but he had a bad ankle. So, and then by game 3, I just couldn't really get around to
And
picking him.
he'd be limited for 14 because you couldn't put him in the front line
Yeah.
defending. So it's difficult.
All right, also some points to Latrell Mitchell. This was, he had an absolute blinder, saving some big tries as well.
The tackles.
Yeah.
This one on Payne, which
Yeah.
was a right shoulder tackle He terrorised him with his boot. He did the field goal. But
I
the
love
tackle
him
on
kicking now.
the tackle on Dean Mariner, which was a left shoulder tackle. So it goes to show his skill. He can tackle either shoulder. And this, people are blown up with this.
No, I loved it. I loved it. Who? Who are you
That's
talking
awesome.
to?
Knox.
Oh, that is awesome.
He just, the
That was
big
fantastic.
moments, he's just a big moment.
And do you know what I loved as well? He kicked it and then turned around
And
before
just-
it even. He knew the confidence.
No, that was.
Yeah. And then Stephen Crichton.
The perfect human. If you're going to build the perfect human, I was going to get interviewed at full time. He was just in total control. He's a teetotaler, isn't he?
Yeah.
Looks after himself. Deeply religious.
Loves the church.
Always up. Always happy. I've heard Gus Gould say he's one of the best leaders he's ever seen.
He's
one of the
so
best
impressive.
captains.
And
He's
that's
impressive.
And the way that he gets the team as well, he's got an individual handshake for every single player at the Bulldogs. The way that he gets everyone has so much respect for him. And then the performances on the field, he's just such a handy player for the Bulldogs to have. So
Hudson.
that's where we stand at the moment. So it looks like Hudson, well, if we were having our lunch next week, it'd be
Cessnock.
Hudson Young joining us.
Take him up to Cessnock back home. He's from up that way.
Yeah.
Wish me luck.
Yeah. You'd be popular, Cessnock, Danica. You'd be very popular.
You wouldn't stand out at all walking into the Cessnock Hotel.
Not at all. If we go to Peden's Hotel, Billy Peden's dad's, Athel's old pub.
That'd
It's
be
still
fun.
called Peden's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those pubs that just won't change its name.
Looking forward to our end of season Freddy the Eighth
Hudson
medal.
would be good.
Hudson-
Stephen Cry, well, he's just...
We'll go
Don't
have
vote
a
for him
sandwich.
again.
He's
Too
out.
sensible.
Yeah, we might read them. All right, let's dive into our having a crack. Thanks to Sportsbet. We love seeing everyone get out and have a crack this week. So we've got this one, some errors into the try.
He had 5 errors, and then he actually captain's challenged an error, which he won, and then he scored a try, and then he come up with a tackle that pretty much won the game for him. He come in and jammed someone, and they got an error. So I reckon he would have slept okay. Okay.
Is it Derby or Derby? It's always tomato.
Isn't the thing that in the eastern states it's Derby, and then in Western Australia it's Derby?
And here we go. We've got the mini Chief and Spud here. Back fence.
Brown.
They need to put sprint
Have
starter gates.
Have a look how much he's frothing. Just have a look at him winding up.
Do you know what's so interesting watching him? So where we were sitting in
I
our
reckon
studio,
if you rung him and said, mate, we're meeting down the pub Saturday, lunchtime for a schnitzel and a few beers, that's how he'd run into a pub.
I've got to say, it was good that the ref didn't come into it. Like, everyone had to shoulder bait. If you try to tackle him like that, you're just knocking yourself out.
Yeah.
the thing though, I love it. He actually gets the foot going. He's like a bull. He is literally just like tipping it. All right.
Absolutely
We love it. Back
mental.
Friends Brown. All right, it's time to check in with Sportsbet. It's over to Joel Kane.
Women's Origin number 2. Let's talk player of the match, which you can do a same-game multi into an anytime try scorer for both the men's and the women's. What about Yasmin Clydesdale? Last year, the only win for the Blues, got the player of the match. This year in the first game, topped the fantasy points, plays the whole game typically. So Yasmin, I'm going to back her. Enjoy the match.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Yes, Women's State of Origin this Thursday night at Allianz Stadium as well. The Blues going in 1-up in this series. This is going to be an absolute epic. We all know what unfolded last year. The Blues won at Suncorp Stadium, but then it wasn't their series in the end. So plenty of pressure on both sides.
I reckon the conditions last year, remember the second game was up at Newcastle?
Yeah, lots of rain.
Lots of rain.
They're
And
tipping
ended up
rain.
being
They're tipping rain.
it's rain all weekend next week as well.
So who does that favour then?
Well, I've got to say, Queensland, we're a very talented team. You look at our centres are in unreal form. You've got Isabel Kelly and Jess Surgis. Getting the ball to them just makes us so much stronger because they just win tackles. So I think it really plays into our hands if it's drier.
Mm-hmm. So who are you tipping?
Oh, New South Wales.
Yeah.
The difference in game one was the kicking game of Jessie Southwell. Her kicking game was just as good as it gets. It's an area of the game which is improving all the time. I know it's an area that Jessie's really worked hard on. So good to see her at the age of 20 dominating in her first game at that level. So, yeah, I can't see New South Wales getting beat.
Didn't she play a couple of years ago?
No, I don't think she is. I don't know, as usual.
I think you might be right
Yeah.
there.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyway.
But she stood out.
Mm.
You know what it did? Allowed him to have a 5'8". Like
Running 5'8".
Penatoni's she's a strong defender, she's aggressive and she runs. And allowed New South Wales to do that. She just controlled the game.
Here's the kicking game. Just turning the screws, pressure on.
Look at that pickup.
Just had time.
Well-
Step one, the ratings were absolutely through the roof.
Yeah.
But the next step is selling out stadiums.
Fill it.
We want the girls to go fully professional, but to do that, we need to be selling out stadiums. We've got the eyes on TV. The game is incredible. It is pure footy. There's no wrestling. The skill level's high. There's not too much structure. I just love watching it, but we need to sell out stadiums.
And that's the thing, it is in the fans' hands.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
Allianz.
when we talk about it, you know, that we should be getting this, we should be getting this, it's actually the fans who have ultimate control over it. So get out there, pack out the stadium, tune in.
It'll be a great game.
Friday night footy, Bulldogs and Roosters. This is an interesting one. I think a lot of people, well, you in your tips, you tipped the Bulldogs.
I chopped and changed.
I think I went the Bulldogs.
You tipped the Bulldogs as well.
They're hard not to tip at the moment. Obviously, they had the falter against... They had 40 minutes. Mind you, they won the second half. They've had 40 minutes off this year.
Against the Broncos.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
If it's wet, it suits the Dogs, doesn't it?
Suits the Dogs.
How much crowd? What do you reckon crowd? 50,000?
No.
I know it's Friday night.
Friday night.
The Doggies fans, they're passionate. They
If you
get
get
behind their team.
35,000 at a core, that'll be a good
Okay, I'll ask you
atmosphere.
this. If it was at Allianz, what would it get?
Now, you got to get the fans in there, but they travel pretty good,
Yeah.
the Bulldogs
I think
fans.
they'll get 40 odd.
And then what about Sunday afternoon footy? GIO Stadium, Raiders-Titans.
Raiders.
Titans, I like the way that... I like Titans when they're going good. They're a very tricky team. Jaden Campbell, he
Halfback.
adds so much to them.
And Kieran Foran's back this week, I'm pretty sure.
Foz are back.
I'm pretty sure.
That's a big in.
I'm going to go Canberra.
High scoring game, Canberra.
Canberra? Okay. All right, stick around. We're going to be back to wrap things up on the other side of this. Well, what about this moment from the weekend? God, you don't want to start a war with Ricky Stewart. That is one war that I would not want to get into.
Actually,
but-
Ricky, he sort of had a giggle at the press conference.
Yeah.
all
Was it a
big
Yeah.
Once again, the soap opera.
Gutted.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic.
No, but it was. I loved the first quote of it. It was actually a weak gutted dog person.
Oh, right.
It just adds to it.
She looks
There's-
good. He looks good with the hair.
The blonde.
He can pull it off.
It's funny because he looked at the wrong camera.
I know.
He couldn't see the light. So they got the first three shots were from the wrong
Amateur.
camera, and then they got
And then
the
they
other
played
one.
it, yeah. And you know what? He's actually become. I've got. There's some rugby league merch as well, and
Ooh.
they've got T-shirts that says "Weak Gutted Dog."
The soap opera of rugby league.
I'll
It's
bring it in
just-
next week.
Okay.
It's very interesting. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us here on Freddy and the Eighth. Enjoy the footy over the weekend, and don't forget to send those emails in. We want pictures of you in your most creative places of watching Freddy and the Eighth. But
Down
just
dog.
remember,
We can blur.
cover up.
We can blur.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.